Seth Rollins hated this Vince McMahon idea, and in this video, I'm going to tell you exactly what that idea is, why Seth Rollins hated it, and why I'm in agreement with it. And I think some of you may be caught off guard by what exactly happened, because he had it for a while. Now, look, Seth Rollins, he has been around the game for quite some time. He has seen the ups and the downs within this company. And he recently made headlines for various reasons in a Chris Van Vliet podcast, which we are going to discuss. I highly recommend you go out in there and check it out. Now, look, Seth Rollins, he is coming off of his loss to CM Punk on the Raw on Netflix premiere episode. This comes at a time in which Seth Rollins has been booked very well under Triple H. Now, for years, Seth Rollins was booked very well under Vince McMahon, although he did have some wacky creative, something in which Seth Rollins was brutally honest about in this interview. He talked about how there was, in a lot of ways, when Punk left the company in 2014, they needed him because he wanted guys just to leave because he was leaving. And in Seth's case, there was nowhere else for him to go, nowhere else for other people to go and earn the type of money that they could in WWE and or establish themselves as bigger and better stars. So they stayed. He talked about the fact that how did Seth freaking Rollins come about? Well, he thinks that Vinnie Mac was just simply bored. Now, look, is Vince McMahon the greatest promoter in the history of combat sports, in the history of pro wrestling? Yeah, of course. But that doesn't mean that he's a weird human being and has some terrible creative for the last 10 years. So when it comes to Seth Rollins under Triple H, it's been delightful, and we'll talk about that more in a minute. But let's talk about the reason you clicked on this video. What exactly is the idea that Vince McMahon had that he did not like? Well, while appearing on Insight with Chris Van Vliet, he was asked about the fact that he did not like the Drip God. So this is in context. He's talking about the freaking moniker, okay? He said, I give the credit to the old man, meaning Vince McMahon. The middle name was his idea back in the day. I don't remember why. I don't remember how it came about. I think he was just bored with Seth Rollins, and he was like, he'll be Seth freaking Rollins again. Okay, cool. So we sold a lot of t-shirts when we did that, so whatever. The thing that killed me when we first did it, when we first brought freaking back, because it was like, the Monday Night Messiah, Seth Rollins or whatever, for a while. And then, there was the Drip God, which was never my idea. I don't like that nickname at all. And I tried to push the Visionary on him, and he didn't get that character at all. And then added freaking in there at some point. And then everybody had freaking every single time they mentioned my name on commentary anywhere. And I was like, the first thing I did when I had the opportunity, let's just pull back on that, please. Like, you can say that, but if someone else is introducing me in a grandiose manner, they can say it. But like, if we're just talking about me, they could just say Seth Rollins. It's okay. It's like, you don't have to say the Tribal Chief Roman Reigns all the time. Or no one said the Hitman Bret Hart all the time. He hated the Drip God. Do y'all remember the Drip God? It was not a very good gimmick. Now, he does incorporate it still somewhat to his current character with these outlandish costumes. That's still changed, but like his persona, that overly obnoxious, just you could not stand to listen to him cut promos. In a lot of ways, it was like the Monday Night Messiah character back in the pandemic. But the Drip God, that was god awful. That was when he was a heel. People talk about like having X-Pac heat. Seth Rollins had Seth Rollins heat. It was like, dude, I don't care how talented you are, just go and wrestle, because I have no tolerance for your promos with this ability. And right now, just get off my TV. And Seth Rollins felt the exact same way in a lot of ways. So Drip God was a god-awful Vince McMahon idea. Now look, Vince McMahon, he had a lot of great ideas over the years, but in recent years, I would say, 2013 and on, maybe before then, a lot of bad creative. Like, I don't think people understand. We sat through so much bad creative. And Seth Rollins, a guy that's been around the block, been around the game for quite some time, he had to deal with bad creative. He was the one that was a top guy who would have to take this horrendous creative and try to make it into something that was worthwhile, something which was worth your time. Now, in NXT, he was booked very strongly. And ever since Triple H took over main roster creative, he's also been booked very well. I mean, why wouldn't you want to book Seth Rollins in a very positive light on the top of your card? He's one of the bigger names that you have under contract, yes, but he's also one of the best in-ring talents of this generation. He's one of the best in-ring psychologists that I've seen in modern times, and he's one of the best promos in the game as well. I mean, he literally checks it off. He may not be 6'6", 260, but he still is a top guy and has earned every single thing given to him. And his rise as a top WWE star has been remarkable, right? Now, under Triple H, he had a long World Heavyweight Championship title reign when that title was brought back, right? He had multiple title defenses against multiple guys, and it was a lot of fun. Now, 2024, he dealt through a lot of injury, something which plagued him heading into WrestleMania 40, where he ultimately dropped the World Heavyweight Championship to Drew McIntyre, who then dropped the title to Damian Priest, who cashed in. And he's been on a multi-month run with CM Punk, something which is still playing out. For then, he had a feud with Bronson Reed, which helped Bronson Reed really establish himself as a true monster, a true killer. The ability that Seth Rollins has to get others over is a rarity in wrestling. It's not just a modern times situation. It's also just a history of the wrestling business. It's one thing to get yourself over with spectacular moves or strong promos or over-the-top characters and charisma, but getting someone else over in the process that you're still elevating yourself to a new height is truly remarkable. It's truly special. It's truly unique. The fact of the matter is, Seth Rollins is a guy that is underrated and underappreciated among the WWE fans, something in which I think people should appreciate him for more, because we don't know how long we're going to have Seth Rollins around, right? He could just say one day, hey, I'm out of here. I'm going home. I'm going to go hang out with his daughter. Whether or not he does that today, tomorrow, or in 5 years, we don't know. But there's going to be a day where Seth Rollins isn't around. I think people are going to be in a situation in which they appreciate Seth Rollins more after his in-ring career is over than during it. I think in a lot of ways John Cena falls into that category. And no, I'm not comparing John Cena to Seth Rollins. I'm just mentioning the fact that in